All right, Ryan Dahl here, and I got a couple of interesting guys we're talking to today. Jordan Cole and Steve Davis from Sons the Band. They are just starting to write and record and distribute music through Tribal or Maverick City, as many of you are familiar with. They were a part of a songwriting camp. Lo and behold, they got together, formed a band, and some incredible music they are writing. So we want to talk about them, their heart and soul, the studio that they recorded in, lots of stories. Can't wait to talk to Jordan and Steve. Let's go for this. All right, guys, let's do this.
Hello.
Hey.
Thanks for having us.
All right,
Thanks,
so
man.
I'm in Langley, British Columbia. Jordan, you're in Colorado. Steve
Yep.
in Atlanta. We are spanning the globe
We
right
are.
on a single
We are.
screen here.
International,
It's
really.
beautiful.
I know.
Yeah,
Seriously.
look at that.
I
Look at
love
that.
it. Well, you guys are looking great. I'm excited to talk. We've just been chatting for the last couple of minutes, and I got tons of questions. I'm always excited about, just new kind of grassroots movement kind of music, little bit of an indie vibe, just coming from, I don't even know where you guys came from because I'd never heard of you until now. But now,
Yeah.
I mean, I watched your YouTube video singing with Maverick. It looks like, honestly, I'm a little bit jealous because I was watching you thinking, oh, they are so in their element, just loving the moment,
That's
isn't
awesome.
it? Why
Thank
don't you
you.
just tell
Thank
me
you.
a little bit about that? That, like, whatever I was watching there, and anyone can go watch, we'll put notes to it. But, like, what's that like in that room, in that Maverick City vibe of a place with all those people? They're all gung ho to worship. It's just a worship leader's
Yeah.
dream.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a pretty wild environment. I mean, I would say the first thing I think about was how much we probably sweat in those
Oh,
3
yeah?
to 4
Yeah.
hours we were in there. It was like I think the most
It was
amount of
fun.
people they said they fit in that room. So it was
I'm
very
going to show
hot,
a picture
but
here. There we
yeah.
go.
Yeah, there you go.
There you
There's
go.
Steve.
Oh,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, that was like
Cranking it
that
out,
was like-
man.
Oh man, I think me and Jordan both have said it before. Like, it was probably 2 minutes into the first song, and I was soaked through my flannel. That was a terrible
Really?
decision to wear. I think that
Oh.
thing probably got up to like 95 degrees.
Yeah.
for
It was
a
so
couple
hot.
hours. It
Yeah.
was so hot.
But the Lord was definitely there
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
It was very 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 powerful, and it was cool because, like most people are just kind of finding out who we were and who we are. We just kind of came out of nowhere for a lot of people, and
Yeah.
so even for us, it's kind of been coming out of nowhere. So, but it was cool to have a room full of people that honestly maybe like 30 of them had the songs ahead of time to kind of learn and sing along with us, that were kind of like our choir for the night. But the rest of the people in there, the other 170 people in there, had no idea any of the songs. And so we'd teach them the chorus, and then we'd play the first song, and then kind of watch the Lord do his thing. And it was really, really cool.
So,
Yeah.
Steve, who are these people in the room? Are they your friends, or they're just part of a church? Or you put up a sign
Yeah.
and you say, come record us
So-
video with us? How does it
Yeah,
work?
man. So that was probably one of the coolest things of the night. Like, ahead of time, it was probably 30 minutes to like downbeat, and there maybe was 30, 40 people in the room, and most of them were the people that we'd rehearsed with or a couple friends. And then we walked outside just ahead of downbeat,
Yeah.
and around the corner, like down the street, there was like 150 people lined up, and I looked over at
No.
JJ and Tony from Tribal, and I was like, dude, where did all these people come from?
Yeah.
And JJ just got like held up his phone, and he's like, they're just people, man.
No.
And so, they're just, JJ and Tony, they are connectors in so many different ways. And so most of those people were people we met for the first time that night, who
Yeah.
are excited about worship. They love 1971, the history there
Yeah.
with Mav and with Tribal, and and took a chance on the Sons
Yeah.
of Band. So literally, most of the people in these recordings you see, we had no idea who they were, and they
Beautiful.
they killed it, man. They came in hungry and ready,
Yeah.
and it was amazing.
Just love it. Can you take me back, Jordan, to like the first time you and Steve connected? I think it was at a songwriting camp. Did you meet each other there? And then it's like some chemistry happened, and you're like, "Hey guys, let's do something." So Take me back a little bit. Tell me the story of that early formation of the bond between the two of you as bandmates.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was a Maverick City writing camp in Atlanta, and it was like kind of it was the first one they had kind of opened up to like we basically like sent in a video of like a song we had written, and they picked like 30 people, and so obviously me and Steve were one of those people, and I think it was like a two full days of writing, and I think it was maybe one of the last rites of the whole camp. Me and Steve got they just pair you up. You don't really have control of who you're in a room with, and so it was like I think one of the last rites, and we were in the same room together, and we just wrote this really cool, like different but sweet, beautiful song, and we just kind of connected through that, but also there was just kind of an immediate friendship even before that rite. I think we just I don't know. Sometimes you find people that you just have like a kindred spirit with, and a kindred heart with, and it's a little more few and far between the older you get in life. I don't really find like best friends when I'm 28, 30 years old. So, so to look back on that, it's definitely a God thing. But what were you gonna say?
Remember? No, I was just gonna say. Do you remember? I think it was coming back from the 1971 recording that night. We all got in the same like transport van that they were taking us back to the house, and you and me, everybody was dead tired. It was like 11:30 at night, and we were sitting in the front bench, and we wouldn't shut up. We were just like cracking jokes the entire time, and like probably so annoying the entire van because we wouldn't stop laughing. I remember that. I think that was the first time I was like, dang, this guy, I think I get along with this guy.
Beautiful. Tell me a little bit about like what does the Maverick City kind of world, how do they foster or encourage or, just get behind what you're doing? How do they make you better or more passionate, or just what do they pour into you in the process?
I mean, I think there's an underlying theme and vibe with the whole Maverick City crew that is a little bit of like an underdog thing, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of hard to explain, but it almost kind of feels like they're willing to take a chance on you for reasons that a lot of the industry isn't willing to take a chance on you for.
Right.
Like
hence the name Maverick, right?
yeah, totally. I mean, they're going against the grain. I mean, like for instance, like when we signed with them, we had done a project prior to the one we did at Tribal, and we had maybe 1,000 followers on Instagram and maybe a few thousand views on our YouTube. I mean, we didn't really have like a ton of momentum, but they saw something in us that felt like it was worth investing in, and so like that alone kind of speaks to the heart of what they're after with this new wave of worship music, if you will. So
well, something sure is happening. It's like it's been so refreshing actually the last couple of years, because I think it's probably only the last 2 or 3 years. 3 years ago, if you said Maverick City, I was just like, I'm not quite sure who that is or where it's coming from, and now there's just this eruption of music, and it feels kind of fresh. It's different than Bethel, Hillsong, Elevation. I mean, even though they work together with those big, and it's cool to see how they do work together, but they offer their own unique sound and personality, and it's neat to see them coming alongside of guys like you, who it's not like you're coming to the table with a whole bunch of equity going, oh, I got 1 million followers and I'm gonna so that's super encouraging.
I think another thing too is like they really value the song, and I think for us, they first knew us as songwriters, and so like they knew that we had a passion and we had a skill set to write songs, and it's like we can help with all the other stuff, you know what I mean? And so that was really encouraging for us. So.
That's neat. That's neat
for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, I think there's something.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, so sorry, man.
Yeah,
I just think there's something too. They're so big on family.
Yeah.
And like we've just been with them since, like you were saying, Ryan, since really early on, and just kind of grinding along with them as they've kind of grown. We've kept working, kept songwriting, and I think they honor that too. It's just the commitment to their culture and their model, and just them, his friends and his family. I think
Love
that's
it.
been a big
I'm
deal, too.
interested in a little bit of that history that you're kind of hinting towards. You said that this studio that you guys recorded in 1971, like I was born in 1970, so I'm thinking, what happened in 1971? I want to know. It was a important season. So I'm going to show a couple pictures of the studio, and maybe it'll just make you think of some memories or thoughts or feelings, or what's the heart and soul that comes out of you as musicians in a place like this with some history.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think it's the name 1971, and I'm pretty sure it's the address of the street that it's on.
It's not a year.
Yeah, it's not a year.
Okay.
I think it's the address, and I can't remember, Decatur Highway or something like that in Atlanta somewhere. But that room, I think for both of us, is special. It was a space that captured the initial songs that everybody knows Maverick City from, Promises and
Really
You Have My Heart and Such an Awesome God, like all Man of Your Word, like these songs that we loved, and that some of those recordings we got to be a part of and we were there for. And so I think all of that kind of came back for us when we were recording Live from 1971 with Sons, but too, it's kind of got like, I mean, I grew up in like punk clubs and like rock and roll clubs in Detroit, like St. Andrews Hall and like all these places that are like pretty gritty and grungy. And it gets pretty, like we were talking about at the top of the hour here, it's like, it's pretty grungy and pretty gritty. And so it reminded me a lot of like, all those shows.
It doesn't all look polished. I'm telling you that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's just,
No.
it's kind of a rock club / studio, and it's very cool. It's just very vibey,
How about for you, Jordan? How does it feel to be in a space like that? Like what pours into your heart? What kind of history or heritage pours into you from that place?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, obviously what Steve said about just the history with Mav recording there. And, when we met at that camp, we went to a live recording there. And so the full circle moment of us being able to record our record in there was really cool. But I think too, like you said, there's this unpolished thing about the space.
Yeah.
And there's an unpolished thing about kind of what we do. It's like, it's incredibly raw, and it's like, we didn't overdub any vocals. We didn't overdub anything you hear, on the record. It's maybe a few parts here and there, but 99% of what you hear is what happened that night. And so I think that just kind of fit the whole vibe that we were going for, and hopefully continue to do. So
yeah, I got that kind of cool vibe just looking at you. That it looks like the two of you are kind of facing each other. Is that what you're doing as you're leading worship? Because you'll have to. I can't show the video here, but you can just sort of get that sense of you're kind of feeding off each other live in the moment, and I almost feel like in the back of your head, you're going, is this really happening? Like, this is so great, right? There's so many things that I've led worship sometimes and thought, I can't believe I'm actually doing this while I'm singing a song. Yeah. It's just many things are kind of going through my head, right? So
it's a pretty cool. I mean, we just kept in the videos. If people go watch them, half the time it's us just like smiling and laughing and like, I mean, there was like such a joy and energy and like in the room. Obviously we had our very like heavy moments, but there was such a joy that night that I feel like in a lot of ways the church is starting to kind of come back to. I feel like we were in this like sit and soaking songs a lot, and those are beautiful and they have their place and they always will. But there is something about just like being joyful with the Lord and dancing and singing and, not really caring who's around. And so I think that was a cool thing for us to try to capture.
Beautiful.
That's so good.
Well, cool thing is we've got a couple of your songs already, and I think more are going to come as you keep writing in PraiseCharts. Yeah. So that's kind of fun. Why don't we just talk about a couple of the songs? I'll show the page here that's just so far just a chord chart. It might grow into something else. We hope it does. I love this song, the Only Ever Good. That's what it is? It's got that upbeat, joyful, smiling kind of vibe. So why don't you talk me through it, some of the lyrical themes and musically, and And Steve, I love the way you played guitar. It's not that it was so complex, but
No.
I'm very sensitive to a nice sounding acoustic
Yeah.
Oh
guitar.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
so I love that. So
Me too, man. And it have like we both play. Jordan's a great player too, but
mhm.
he's a lot more interesting without a guitar in his hand than I am. I'm
Oh yes.
pretty stoic. So they put a guitar in my hand, and I love that too. But yeah, I love talking about Only Ever Good because it's one of the, at least on this album, it's one of the only songs we have co-writers with. And there's some of our favorite people or some of our friends. Only Ever Good was a song that happened probably late 2020 or early 21, with our friends Lauren Scott and Nick Morrow.
Yeah.
And, Lauren, she came in with this idea of, man, what if, like, I feel like the Lord, like he's only ever good to us. And
Hmm.
I want to work on that concept. And it's
Mhm.
like, it's not like a crazy concept, but the way that she phrased it, only ever good,
Yep.
those three words stuck out to me. And I think I was sitting at my piano and I was just only ever good, only ever good. And sometimes a lyric will almost sing to you.
Yeah.
And that was the case with Only Ever Good, was the lyric and the melody and the rhythm just sort of popped out of nowhere. And that was it. Did we lose Jordan? I feel like we
I
lost
think we
Jordan.
did, but I can
Oh
just go to
no.
you and me. Look at
There
that.
we go.
I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
And Jordan will come back. Oh, he's calling
will.
back. So,
Here he
hey,
is, coming
people,
back.
we can do this. Okay,
Yeah.
let me put him back in. Oh, now
Yeah.
I've got you guys reversed. So, you know what the funny thing is
Yeah.
oh, let's just see. Oh, fine. I'll
I'm
figure
here.
this out. We're good.
There
Okay,
you
we
are.
made it.
Sorry.
Okay, no
Yeah.
problem.
No, anyway, so I mean, the songwriting, the process of Only Ever Good, writing that was super collaborative. That's what we do mostly. I think is we do collaborative writing, so co-writing, and
Yeah.
Only Ever Good was a great co-write with Nick and Lauren, and I'll remember that right for a long time.
Mm-hmm. And just to hear that you wrote that really in the middle of the pandemic, when a lot of people are probably thinking life isn't that awesome right now.
Oh.
So
Man,
Completely.
totally part of the story, Ryan, is
Yep.
like both of us were coming out of, super difficult seasons.
Huh.
And even on a song like that, to write it, and not even COVID related, other stuff going on in both
Yeah.
of our lives. And to write a song like that, it's not easy, but it's something that sometimes you do. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, as songwriters, you do it and this is true.
Yep.
You hold to that truth. Your feet are planted on that rock of truth, that the Lord is good.
It's really good.
Christ himself, says, like, who is good but the Lord? Who is
Yep.
good but the Father, right? And so I choose to trust Jesus. I choose to trust what he says, even when maybe everything in front of my face says otherwise. I choose to trust that, God,
Yeah.
you are good,
Yeah.
and you will
Yeah.
only ever be good to me. And so it's a song that's ministered, I think, to both of us. I think I can fairly say that for me and Jordan.
Yeah.
It's a song that's ministered to both of us.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Beautiful. We definitely need those songs. I was thinking, I was just interviewing Keith Getty an hour ago. Do you guys know who Keith is? He wrote
Oh,
In
of
Christ
course.
Alone. So, and we were literally talking about this because they
Yeah.
have a song that's thriving right now that is a joyful, like, it's a song to sort of overcome or press through anxiety and just challenge and trial. And, we're sort of in a season right now where it's like, okay, we need some like good quality, joyful songs to just breathe life into our communities again. So it's coming from lots of different angles, and it's interesting to
Yeah.
hear you
Totally.
guys sharing that
Totally.
as well. And speaking of, like, In Christ Alone was of course the classic song about the cross and all of that, and you have another song here that I see called Cross and Empty Grave. I love I can tell some of the, like Only Ever Good, it's got a rhythmic sense to it, and Cross and Empty Grave, it just flows beautifully, right? And I don't think I've heard that phrase before, but I like it. So tell me about this one.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jordan.
This is probably me and Steve's favorite song that we got to record. I think
Yeah.
it's one of the ones we're most proud of lyrically. I just think we really fought. I mean, you always try to fight really hard for every line that you write, but
Yeah.
there was something about this day and about this song that we got to write together that we just worked really hard on capturing what it is that we were trying to capture. And like, you know, essentially we're describing all of these things about who God is and the power and the beauty that he holds. And at the end of the day, all those things come from because he died and he rose. And so like all of that power and all of that beauty comes from the cross and the empty grave. And so there was just like, and this also has like a hymn feel to it, which is always a little bit of like a nostalgic, like fun melody area to sing in. And so it became quickly one of our favorites and ones that we're most proud of, I would say, as songwriters.
Beautiful. Well, it's a great theme to bring to the church for worship. And, you know, it's like, you're never outside of the theme season of talking about that. Except for maybe December 24th. Maybe we just talk about the birth for a couple of days.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
then it's back to, the cross and
I mean, because that's why we're all here. It's why we're all working hard to do what we got to do. It's that's like, right. You know, people might watch this and think like, oh, these guys are signed and they're cool and they're writing songs, but it's like, man, not like cool. Honestly, we're doing all this is because the Lord has walked through our life with us every single step of the way. And it's been, it's all we can do is really just give back, you know, all that he's given us. And so, it's, you know, beautiful. I just wanted to share that. So,
well, Jordan, Steve, thanks for sharing your story. I feel like you gave us a little behind the scenes view of Maverick City as well. And I'm so glad they're behind you. I just want you to know we're behind you as well. So as new songs come out from you and your co-writes, I hope we'll find them in PraiseCharts. And you know, maybe I'll like be penning a little chord chart that since you guys don't really want to do that work, I'm happy to write the chord charts. You send them my way. We'll listen to the songs, get all the chords right.
Man.
Love to be behind you.
Is it Dan Galbraith? Who's the guy? Yeah, that's the guy. I've seen his name on so many things. Just toss it over to Dan and see if he'll do it for us.
That's right.
He'll be into it.
Dan, I found Dan, or he found me somehow online in 2001. You know, I think before Google was a thing. He was like somehow found my name, and we decided let's work together. So he's our full-time orchestrator now, and is just a maestro behind finale. So that's why you see his name everywhere, because
that guy's been he's a legend. The other part of my team for years.
You know what? I'm gonna tell him you got to go watch this video. Me and Sons the Band. We ended off, you know. So talking about you, Dan. So little shout out to Daniel Galbraith. That's right.
Dan, who's on every worship team in the entire world. So
right.
Good stuff. Okay, guys. Thanks for the encouragement. Thanks for a great conversation together. And all the best as you keep writing. See you then.
Thanks,
Thank you very
much. Appreciate you.
Bye.